Mention Girl Guides to many women and the reaction will be strong. They will tell you either that they loved them or hated them, that they were either proud to wear their uniform or refused to join. Once enrolled, they either adored tying knots or couldn't see the point, revelled in campfire singing or loathed damp canvas tents. They either fell in love with their captains or they thought they were fascists and sadists. Whatever their feelings, most former Girl Guides retain strong memories of their experiences. A survey by Girl Guiding UK in 2007 found that 2/3 of Britain's most prominent women have been guides, and 3/4 of them say they benefited from the experience. Yet few people realise the impact that the foundation of the guide movement in 1910 had on women's equality and on society in general. From the very start, when Robert Baden-Powell asked his sister Agnes to form the Girl Guides, the organisation was separate from the Boy Scouts and not subservient to them. Baden-Powell died in 1941. How much has his vision affected the social and political history of feminism in the 20th century? Nearly 20 years before all British women got the vote, Girl Guides were earning badges for proficiency as electricians, cyclists, surveyors and telegraphists. In both wars, brownies and guides took over the jobs of adults. When historians came to write up these wars, they spoke only to adults who had either not been around or, if they had, were too busy to notice, and thus failed to mention the role of these girls and young women. The impact of the guides in World War II is particularly clear. Their activities were not confined to Britain, but also included the Commonwealth, Nazi-occupied Europe and Japanese-occupied Asia. It was World War II that brought the philosophy of the guides to the fore, and released their skills and training to the benefit of everyone around them. This book explores how being a brownie or a guide was essential training for war work. How did a guide gaining a badge in Morse code aid fighter pilots? How did collecting 15,000 wooden cotton reels help RAF prisoners of war? And how does guiding in those times influence the lives of women in the 21st century? Within days of the declaration of war with Germany in September 1939, young women were being called up to the Women's Auxiliary Air Force, WAAF, Women's Royal Navy, WRENS, and the Female Aid Nursing Yeomanry, FANNYs. The military services soon realised that guides with badges sewn on their sleeves had skills that were not only life-enhancing, but also life-saving. Guides from all walks of life threw themselves into war work. Even Princess Elizabeth, a guide, and Princess Margaret, a brownie, learned how to cook on a campfire and promised, like thousands of other guides, to help other people every day, especially those at home. When the Blitz began, guides kept up morale in bomb shelters with blackout blue sing-songs. They built emergency ovens from the bricks of bombed houses. They grew food on company allotments and knitted for England. They became the embodiment of the home front spirit, digging shelters and providing first aid. All over Britain, guides held bazaars and pushed wooden two-wheeled trek carts around the streets, collecting jam jars and newspapers for recycling. In 1 week in 1940, they raised £50,000 to buy ambulances and a lifeboat, which saved lives at Dunkirk. Guides painted curbs with white paint to help people find their way around in the blackout. They collected sphagnum moss to dress wounds. They helped evacuated children leave the cities and helped to care for them when they arrived in the country. War service badges were awarded to guides after 96 hours of work, washing up in children's homes, caring for the elderly, feeding bombed families and air raid wardens. Their contribution was noted at the highest levels. At the Lord Mayor's show in London in 1942, Winston Churchill took off his hat in salute as the guides marched past. Movietone newsreels featured guides putting out incendiary bombs, marching with gas masks and sending messages by semaphore. Older guides were shown helping on a farm and rowing on a river. They may have been looking out for German parachutists disguised as nuns, a common fear at the time. Exploring archives, I stumbled across extraordinary stories. A Brownie logbook from 1944 surprised me halfway through with a song the pack sang at Christmas Day. We might have been shipped to Timbuktu, we might have been shipped Kalamazoo. It's not repatriation, nor is it yet starvation. It's simply concentration in Shefu. I discovered that from 1942 to 1945, the first Shefu brownie pack was based in a Japanese concentration camp. After the bombing of Pearl Harbor in December 1941, an entire boarding school of British children was interned in eastern China along with Trappist monks, white Russian prostitutes, businessmen and Cuban